Good evening and welcome to the June 28th Mayor and Council meeting. I would like to ask Chris Ward to come forward and lead us in the pledge. For those of you that don't know Ms. Ward, she is our special events manager, and she's got a lot on her plate now that the city's opened back up. Hopefully she had a little bit of a rest during COVID. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Councilmember Tizer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Judy. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And it passes unanimously. We've got a lot of good news stories here tonight, but this is probably the most special of them all. And I would like to invite our EMS Director, Alex Roblix, to come forward and present this item.
Thank you, ma'am. So good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me today and giving me the opportunity to recognize the members of our public safety community for their hard work and dedication, which ultimately resulted in the saving of a life. On the afternoon of April 23rd of this year, Roswell Fire Department received a call for reports of a patient suffering from difficulty breathing. Within minutes, units arrived on the scene and found the patient to be in cardiac arrest. Immediately, the crew began to provide care, and through their actions, the patient regained a pulse. The patient was rushed to North Fulton Hospital, where she received further treatment and was subsequently discharged home. The combined efforts of the members of Roswell 911, Roswell Fire Department, and American Medical Response, and North Fulton Hospital resulted in the saving of the patient's life, and subsequently affording them a second chance at life with their family. I would like to present the Medical Life Saving Award for the following individuals. I'd like to bring the patient up, as well as Chief Panino. So first, we'd like to bring up Brandon Carr. Tony Box. David Owen. Battalion Chief for Bell Church. From AMR, Clayton Frazier. Stephanie Hamilton, EMT from AMR. And our communications officer, Danielle Hammond. Thank you.
Thank you. Please don't sit down. We would love to have a picture with you. So if you'll join us up front, that would be awesome.
All right, if we can have a few folks on this side. All right. Everybody at the window? There we go. Thank you, congratulations.
I would like to thank you all again. This is a special day when we can recognize saving a life. It's just off the charts good news, so thank you again. You all, I know you all do it on a regular basis, but we can't ever thank you enough. The next item on the agenda is reading of a proclamation for July Park and Recreation Month. Whereas Parks and Recreation programs are an integral part of the communities throughout this country, including the city of Roswell, and whereas Parks and Recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of the community and region. And whereas Parks and Recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks, open space trails, and natural areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas Parks and Recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local sales tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and the retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Park and Recreation Month, and whereas the City of Roswell recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now therefore be it resolved by Lori Henry, Mayor of the City of Roswell, that July is recognized as Park and Recreation Month. And I would, Mr. Leatherman, would you like to come forward and speak, or is there anyone from your department that would like to add a few words?
Just a couple words. Thank you, Mayor, and truly appreciate being here today. And just on behalf of my staff, the full-time staff that you see in the photo here, we truly could not provide all of the resources that we have in our community without this mayor and council support, without the dedication of our Recreation Commission. And this staff represents about 200 part-time staff members that are not shown in this photo. And the reality is that all of the recreation services, all of the park facility services that we have in our community would not be possible without the support and dedication of our community, of our staff, and the people around us. And just a couple of quick stats as we think about even Parks and Recreation from the past fiscal year. So ending just in a couple of days as we get ready to kick off our 4th of July celebration. But in the last fiscal year, we had over 1,700 programs that we offered in spite of the limitations that coronavirus put on us. Over 25,000 individuals enrolled in our programs. We had over 5,000 tennis court reservations, over 9,000 aquatic lane line reservations, 22,000 visits to our pools and spray grounds in the past fiscal year. But not to mention those active programs, we also have a number of passive uses in our trails and facilities. The boardwalk crossing at Mansell between us and Alpharetta saw about 194,000 trips this last year. The Big Creek mountain biking trail system saw about 25,000 trips, and the Riverwalk, as we know, is busy. Phase 4 saw just over 267,000 trips just in the past fiscal year. And again, it would not be possible without the support of this council, our community, our Recreation Commission, and of course our staff who do the lion's share of the work each and every day. So thank you. We're excited to kick off our Parks and Recreation Month with 4th of July. That'll be coming up on Sunday, and then we kick into a number of special events and activities. So on behalf of my department and myself, thank you very much for this recognition.
Thank you. Our Recreation Parks Department does a great job every single day of the week, the month, and the year, and we are very proud of our parks and also our staff members that enhance those recreational areas. The next item on the agenda is the recognition of Police 911 Accreditation Center of Excellence. Chief Conroy.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. If I could have our 911 staff, please stand while I make this presentation. I know you're part of the team when we did this, so please stand. John Petrobowski, our interim 911 director, and most of you know our former 911 director, Melissa Alterio, currently the Cobb County Emergency Communications Director. So she's largely responsible for a lot of the preparation for tonight's award. I'm very happy she could be here for this recognition. The Roswell 911 Center has been recognized by the International Academies of Emergency Dispatch, that's IAED, as an accredited center of excellence for emergency fire dispatching. There are about 3,500 emergency communication center in the country, or in the world, that utilize emergency dispatch protocols. With this award, Roswell is the 56th Fire ACE accreditation in the world. Wow. They are the second ACE award winner for a 911 communication center that works under a police department in North America. So that's a tremendous accomplishment, and they should all be applauded for their hard work.
And as usual, we would love to have a picture, and thank you so much for coming back to visit. Maybe for a long visit?
I tried just to visit, I tried. But as you saw tonight with the life-saving award that we just went through, our 911 operators, our employees, we're very proud of them. We couldn't do this job without them. They do a tremendous job. I'm very proud of the work they do, and I know anytime any of you come over for a visit, that's where I like to bring you to see what's really going on, the heartbeat of the city of Roswell. Anytime something bad happens and I'm in the office, my first stop is I walk into the 911 Emergency Communication Center. I do stop in there several times a day. They're probably tired of seeing me for that, but they do a tremendous job. That's where the real work happens, and they dispatch the rest of our public safety. So everybody in Roswell should be very proud of the public safety here in our city, and I'm very proud of them, and congratulations again.
And we are very, very proud, and on a daily basis. So we know you all are keeping us safe, and thank you. So let's have a picture.
You don't want to come up for a photo? Let them figure out where they want to stand. I don't go at the end.
Okay. All right, let me just, okay, all right. We'll crop it a little bit. So. All right, just keep smiling. Congratulations.
Thank you again. The next item on the agenda is the approval of a Board of Zoning Appeals appointment, Jahanzeb Jabbar. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Motion to approve by Councilmember Palermo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hall. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. And I will give a plug for our boards and commission volunteers. We can't thank you enough. The work that you do on behalf of the city is immeasurable in dollars and in appreciation. So thank you again for those of you that are willing to put your time out to the city of Roswell to make this a better community to live in. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding with Roswell Economic Development and Tourism for the services of Roswell, Inc. Then following that, some of this conversation might bleed over, so I just want to bring this one forward as well. Approval for the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding with Roswell Economic Development and Tourism, Inc. for the services of Visit Roswell. And I'll give you a little bit of history, and then I'm going to ask Mr. Davidson to respond to any questions. At the time that Roswell, Inc. was formed, it was formed under the umbrella of the CVB, or Visit Roswell, and we had one MOU that covered both entities. There were numerous amendments to that over the years, but the document itself was never updated. And one of the things that I was bound and determined to do when I was first elected was to update all of the MOUs for our partner organizations. And when I did that, I realized in order to get this done after 3 years, the best way for me to do it is to tie it to the budget. So Visit Roswell, Roswell, Inc. will not receive any funding until the MOUs are approved. They will be expecting a check the first week in July. And this is a draft that I'm bringing forward to council, so I'm looking forward to your comments, your suggestions, and anything that you deem appropriate for the MOUs to move forward. Having said that, I would like to open it up to questions. Council have any questions? Councilmember Palermo.
Thank you, Mayor Henry. Just a high-level comment I have is I certainly agree with your statement that there's a lot of benefit in tying the MOU to the budget season, and I think that's very relevant. And also want to give credit to Councilman Zapata, who was definitely championing this back when really for any organization that's coming to the city to be a partner organization and receive tax dollars, I certainly agree there needs to be a solid MOU that's perfectly clear to all taxpayers. So definitely appreciate the importance of this initiative.
Councilmember Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. I just, I have one point, and I would like to see just one thing added that exists in the next MOU, where the city of Roswell has obligations to provide certain metrics to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I would like to add a metric that quarterly metrics be provided by Roswell, Inc. to the Economic Development Director as he or she, when we hire them, sets.
Okay. Councilmember Hall, for clarification, are you talking about the MOU with Visit Roswell or Roswell, Inc.?
Thank you. I'm sorry. The MOU with Roswell, Inc. It doesn't have a section where we ask for metrics other than the annual report. So I just thought it would be good to get quarterly metrics, and the economic director could direct what he or she would like to see in those metrics.
Okay, so do you, okay, let's hear what council has to say, and then we'll try to put that in the form of a motion. Additional comments from council? Yes, Councilmember Zapata.
Thank you, Mayor. So, yes, I will also like to suggest some, some more specific points, and based on, on September 10, 2018, we passed a resolution for all the nonprofit organizations who request taxpayers' funds. So regarding the item number 5 here, first of all, I need some clarification, and then I have some suggestions to add here to make it more clear. So seems like now Roswell Economic Development and Tourism is the umbrella company, and then there's 2 divisions. One is a CVB, used to be CVB called, now it's called Visit Roswell, and now it's called, have been mutating. And then the other one is Roswell, Inc., but seems like they are both under the same umbrella of Roswell Economic Development and Tourism. Is this correct? My understanding?
Yes, it is correct.
Great, thank you. So then, what I would like to suggest on top of the quarterly metrics to be presenting to the future Economic Development Director of the City of Roswell, which the metrics could be defined, I understood, by the same Economic Development Director, but have to be quarterly presented. So on top of that, I will suggest, based on the resolution we passed in 2018, to add the annual financial audit report prepared by a certified public accountant, which is also required on the next item, and then provide annually the names of the officers and board of directors. Then provide, because here said, Roswell Inc. shall present to the mayor and council for their approval a budget narrative and an annual economic development report, which could lead to different interpretations. Where I would like to clarify there is to request a profit and loss statement or financial statement, a business plan with a marketing action plan to be presented to mayor and council at the time that they request the funds for the following fiscal year. So on this item, I would like to add this to clarify and make it more specific in terms of requirements for Roswell, Inc. Or the Roswell, this is the other question. This Roswell Economic Development and Tourism will have 2 different accounting. They will have, or they will just present one consolidated accounting statement or financial statement, which I think will be more clear and transparent to have 2 different financial statements, one for Roswell, Inc., and the other one for the former CVB or Visit Roswell.
Thank you very much. And just for the sake of redundancy, I believe all of the items that you mentioned are part of the resolution to establish basic standards for external partners of the City of Roswell, dated September 10th of 2018. All of those items are required. They're required by all of our partner organizations, not just Visit Roswell and Roswell, Inc. The reason why I wanted to separate the 2 MOUs, because they were under one MOU originally, is even though they are under one umbrella on their end, on our end, they're 2 different organizations. So I was looking at it from the standpoint of we need an MOU for Visit Roswell, we need an MOU for Roswell, Inc. Now, they might have one governing board over them, but that's an internal issue with them. It is not an internal issue with us. So let me ask you, is there any harm in repeating that? It's already in there, so when we audit them on an annual basis, all of these items are looked at. So is there any reason, is there any harm in repeating that, even though it's unnecessary? Mr. Fisher.
I don't know that there's any harm in it. This resolution covers all of our nonprofits. So for them to be a partner with us and to get financing from us, they have to give this anyway. So this MOU is more for just their operation, the agreement of what they do and what we do. And then this resolution is what we require of them to give us annually. So I think we get all this information now. So I'm not sure there's a reason to put it back into the MOU.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Councilmember Judy.
I tend to agree, but if there's some worry about this, then you could just put a simple sentence in there. It says, per our 2018 agreement, and then it, all information be provided, and then we're good on all of it. So we don't have to worry about repeating all of it over and over again.
Thank you. Additional, yes, Councilmember Zapata.
Thank you. So repeating sometimes is good, so things doesn't fall through the cracks. And getting a couple of paragraphs that won't waste too much ink, I think that doesn't hurt and actually clarify from now and in the future, so it's clear for everybody what are the requirements. So I don't know why is the resistance to add here to just make it even more clear in another official document, which is a contract, and just add 2 or 3 paragraphs. I don't see still the reason not to do it.
Councilmember Tizer.
Thank you, Mayor. Part of the reason to not be redundant, when we first started looking at the MOUs, each MOU was different, not just different in what it was requesting, but in its individual structure. The concept here was to make them all similar in structure, to make them all basically follow the same procedures and processes so that no one partner organization had different requirements and that we could manage them in the same way. And so I'm fine with the request of Councilmember Hall that they do a quarterly update. I think they do that anyway, but submitting that into the office of that new employee, I think would be reasonable to add. But as long as they're going by the resolutions that we have passed that require certain submissions, which are very clear, I think we're good.
Thank you, Councilmember Tizer. Councilmember Palermo.
Thank you, Mayor Henry. So first of all, yeah, I certainly agree with Councilmember Hall's update. What I think I would want to know from Mr. Davidson is it, with that update, is it clear that each MOU would have their separate financials they're submitting? In other words, for this example, it would be just Roswell Inc. financials, and then separately it would be just Visit Roswell financials. But with Councilmember Hall's language, I agree with that. I do agree. I think it was Mayor Henry that had raised the potential compromise on adding a sentence or so that just points to the agreement in 2018. So I think if there's something that's pointing to it, that's making it clear, the exact date, version, whatever it might be, then with that addition, I don't think it would be necessary to add in, separate paragraphs from that agreement. And I think if I understood correctly, it seemed like those were the potential major changes to it.
Yes, thank you. And I would like to clarify that because we provide funding to Roswell Inc. and Visit Roswell, those are 2 separate agreements, so their financials would have to be submitted separately. Like I said, it is not our concern that they've got an umbrella board. What our concern is are agreements with each one of them individually. So I would support adding a line that references the resolution to the resolution number, let me give you that, 2018-09-65 dated September 10th of 2018, which is the resolution to establish basic standards for external partners of the City of Roswell. So I would support one line referencing that. Then the other thing too that I would support is the quarterly reporting. However, especially since we don't have an economic development director yet, hopefully we will soon, I would like that wording to be that it is submitted to the city of Roswell, and as soon as we have an economic development director, that will be part of their job description to review the quarterly reports. So, having said that, Councilmember Wilsey.
You ready for a motion?
Oh, yes, I'm ready for a motion.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you all for the comments. I also just wanted to note that I think Roswell Inc. and Visit Roswell also do a good job of providing monthly information to council and to the public as well about their activities. So appreciate memorializing the quarterly metrics here. A motion to approve the MOU with Visit Roswell and also Roswell Inc., both of them at the same time, with two additions, one with a sentence that points back to a separate motion. Yes. Okay. To approve the MOU with Visit Roswell, with a sentence pointing back to the resolution of 2018 and requiring quarterly reporting to the city of Roswell.
We've got a motion by Councilmember Wilsey. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Tyser. Councilmember Palermo?
Thank you. A clarifying question I have, because I think that makes sense to me, and I definitely want to see this be unanimous. It's my understanding, and I'd be curious, Mayor Henry, if Councilman Zapata would share. It seems to me that this addressed the changes in the sense that it did not add the different paragraphs, but it did add that sentence, which I think does address it. So basically, I'm curious from the other council members if that addressed all of the concerns or suggestions, and I'm also curious if Councilmember Hall would share, does the language in the motion address her recommendation? So those would be my two clarifying questions before a vote.
Councilmember Zapata?
Thank you, Mayor. So, when I suggest to add the annual financial audit report prepared by a certified public accountant, I just took it from the next item. So in terms of just to be consistent, I like consistency. So just in order to be consistent, I was suggesting to add this on the Roswell Inc. as well. But if this create too much confusion for the city of Roswell and Roswell Inc., our partner, then adding this line, I understand that might represent some confusion, and so I don't know. I think that is just make it clear for everybody, and I still don't get the why not to put this line specific that doesn't hurt, doesn't contradict our resolution either, and just make it clear for anybody in the future who take a look to this MOU will understand exactly without having to then go also to the resolution to check it out as well and get another extra step in the process of looking for the terms and conditions of the MOU. So just to be consistent, I would recommend to add annual financial audit report prepared by the certified public accountant, which is the item number 11, point number 11 of the next item. So if you look the next item, point number 11, that I study very carefully this MOU, you will see that it's not included on this item that we are discussing right now. And also, I would like clarification of the motion. Did I hear also the CVB or Visit Roswell in the motion, or is it just for Roswell Inc.?
We're doing the motion separately, so this one is just for Roswell, Inc. But she made the motion for Visit Roswell, so the next one will be Roswell, Inc.
Or you could switch back. I tried to make them jointly, but if we need to separate them.
They need to be
We can
separate.
do that separate.
Yes.
So
we need
I did
separate
call
motions.
Visit
So what was
Roswell
your
first.
motion for?
I called Visit Roswell first.
Okay.
So, yes.
So she called Visit Roswell, so this motion is for Visit Roswell.
Wait a minute, wait. Which is the next item then? So we're calling for item number 5, but then we're voting number 6.
Okay,
That is confusing.
Councilmember Zapata, if this confuses you, why don't we start over again?
Yes.
And for the sake of you being able to understand what we're doing here, let's go ahead and I'll call for a motion for Roswell Inc. Do I have a motion to approve the MOU for Roswell Inc.?
Yes, motion to approve Roswell Inc. with the quarterly economic report as said by Councilmember Hall in the resolution, in the Senate's, for Resolution 2018-09-65 that lays out all the things that the partner organizations need to provide.
We've got a motion by Councilmember Judy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hall, Wilsey, Councilmember Hall.
I have a clarifying question. For Councilmember Judy, would you consider adding the language from item 11 on the next item?
It's already.
It's in there with the Resolution 218-09-65.
Well, and I do want to clarify that under the resolution to establish basic standards for external partners of the City of Roswell, the most recent audit and/or financial statement certified and signed by the president and treasurer of each entity. I think that covers it. Yes, Councilmember Hall.
May I just comment? Item number 11 requires that it's prepared by a CPA, whereas our resolution doesn't require that.
This is not my department, but I would think if it has to be certified, you would have to be certified. And who can certify?
President or treasurer or somebody appointed to the board, but they're not necessarily a financial auditor or CPA.
And you want that done on a quarterly basis?
An annual basis.
Okay, Councilmember Tizer.
Yeah, the reason that it reads that way is not all of our entities are large enough to hire a certified public accountant to do a certified audit, which is a specific thing that probably in many cases would eat up an entire budget. And so we wrote it that way, that the officers had to certify it and that it might be what's called a compilation report. It could be various forms of audit. I think the issue here is that CVB is large enough and already does an audit. I'd have to ask the finance group. And I also think our auditors audit both entities, don't they? Thank you. And so, you know, there's a limited number of times we need to audit the same entity. Our auditors audit both of them, and that's why that's written that way. So what we're asking for, to be clear, is we're asking for in the resolution, for the officers of the entity to sign off that these are true and complete financial statements, and then our auditors go back and do the actual audit work as part of our city audit. And if you remember, there have been a couple of times when there has been an audit point that came from our auditors after the audit of those entities.
Councilmember Hall.
Just to respond, so since our auditors are doing this and the cost is already there, there would be no harm to have this item number 11 be there for Roswell Inc., in my opinion.
Councilmember Tizer, looks
That's-
like we've got a debate
Well,
going on.
no, it's two different things, okay? To ask a certified public accountant to certify their statements is fundamentally different than our auditor auditing their books and certifying that they are correct. It gets you to the same place, but they're different things, and you will use up all of the funds of an organization that is small doing a certified public accountant audit.
So might we suggest that...
Excuse me, Councilmember Hall, you haven't been recognized.
I apologize.
Councilmember Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe that our auditors use CPAs and to do the audit, so we would get to the same place by having number 11 in there for Roswell Inc.
Councilmember Zapata.
Thank you, Mayor. So, yeah, I mean, having the language of requesting a certified public accountant doesn't hurt. Again, we're talking about transparency, we're talking about public public taxpayers' money here. So requesting this, I don't know how this hurt to the people of Roswell. So I think that not having it make it more confusing, and so I think that I still don't understand the resistance to add this to this item number 5.
Councilmember Judy.
So here's where I am on this. Right now, our Visit Roswell, we're a city of 100,000 people, depending on what you look at. We're at 8th or 9th largest city in the state. We have a economic director company in Roswell, Inc., who has 2 employees, maybe 3 now. We have a visitors bureau that has 2 employees total. And now we're going to eat up possible money when we have our accountants, who probably are certified and look at this, or audit this 3 times, 4 times, and eat up money that could be used to help grow business in Roswell and grow tourism in Roswell. At some point, it's overkill. I understand what we're trying to get at. If we want to say that the financials are audited by the Roswell Finance Department, because they do it anyway, and everybody's comfortable with that since we trust our staff, then that's probably where we should go with this. But if we're going to, I don't know the cost of a certified account, to go through something like this. But Councilman Tizer says it's pretty large, so, and he's in that business. So I just, if we've got our people looking at, their people looking at, and their board signing off on it, why are we eating up money that can be used to grow business in Roswell and bring tourism to Roswell for redundancy here? Because I don't think there's anything nefarious going on here. So anyway, that's my point.
And let me just say this, I'll give you my position on this. I think we're at the point of splitting hairs on this. This is going to be done one way or another. I don't think it's necessary to add this, but obviously there are a couple of council members that are passionate about it. It doesn't change anything. An annual audit's an annual audit. So, as far as I'm concerned, put it in there. If it will ease a couple of council members' minds, I say go for it. And, but we've got a motion and a second, so we would need to amend that motion if we want to include line 11 from the Visit Roswell MOU in Roswell, Inc.
So,
Councilmember Judy.
So I guess my problem with that is how are we going to define this? Are we going to define it as a certified audit? When we go, what's a certified CPA audit? We're defining something here that nobody really is putting what a definition of this is. I think we're going down a road that it means different things to different people. I don't really care. I think this is, I'd be glad to put it in, but I just don't, I don't want us to put something in and one group have an opinion that it's this and another group have an opinion that's that, and then us cause an issue.
Okay, I'm going to call on Mr. Davidson. He was just explaining something to me that I think would be benefit to the conversation.
So number 11 says that they will provide the city with an annual audit report prepared by a certified public accountant. That is totally different than us auditing their numbers. This says they're going to have to pay to have a CPA go through their books and provide us with the audit. What we do now is our audit firm, they give us the numbers and then we go through and audit it. So it's not the same thing. This is going to require them to pay for an audit to provide to us. So just wanted to clarify that because they're not the same.
Councilmember Wilsey.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thanks for that clarification, and thank you all for the discussion. I think the big question is, what would the cost to that organization be? And ultimately, I think we have to remember that if you're having $10,000, 10% of a $200,000 budget going towards an audit, that's ultimately, money out of the taxpayer's pocket that could be better spent on tourism or economic development efforts. So I just think that's something to consider if it can be accomplished in a satisfactory way through another method. So.
Thank you. Councilmember Palermo.
Thank you. I think a lot of good discussion, and really glad this specific discussion was raised. I would be supportive for this one on item number 5 to have an adjustment, which would be something along the lines of the city of Roswell will either perform or outsource an audit. Basically, I guess that's it. Basically giving both city staff as well as the city's auditors the opportunity to audit it, and that would happen. Because if the way it sounded to me, that's what's happening already. And so I think I would be comfortable with just that compromise added into this one.
Councilmember Tizer.
Thank you. I think that's awesome. I think that gets us right to where we want to be, is that we have the right, you're basically saying that we have the right of audit.
Councilmember Zapata.
Thank you, Mayor. So I hear that it's going to cost $10,000 for an audit. I don't know where this number came from, actually. I heard a lot of money. I don't know what a lot of money is. We're not talking about an audit of the financial statements of Google. So I don't know where this huge amount come from. I mean, everybody who has a small business have tax made by accountant and CPAs. So, and it's not a fortune. I can guarantee you it's not a fortune. So I think that all these numbers and amounts, they're not realistic. So, and then giving our staff more responsibility, more liability, and more working hours, so especially liability, because they will be primarily responsible for what is coming out of the audit of this, I think that is not proper. So, again, I think that requiring this audit by a CPA certification is reasonable, and until someone really comes with the estimate in writing from a CPA company saying that it's prohibited, then, I will believe it.
And perhaps one of our esteemed colleagues from the Finance Department can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that the city of Roswell is required to have an annual audit, and a part of that audit is they review all partner organizations. That is something we've been doing, we will continue to do, and it's part of the requirement that is put on the backs of the city of Roswell. So that is already being done. We're not adding anything. Oops, sorry. And I think that the Councilmember Palermo's suggestion was a good one. We've got a motion and a second.
I'll amend my motion to include Councilman Palermo's suggestion of a City of Roswell audit, which is already being done, just to throw it in there so we know it's being done for clarification. And hopefully that'll get a second. We can vote on this.
Mr. Davidson, do you need any clarification on that?
No, Mayor, I'm good. Thank you.
Councilmember Palermo.
We've talked a lot since then, so I just want to clarify. If I remember correctly, this motion involved the quarterly language from Councilmember Hall. It included language that ties us or ties this to the 2018 agreement, and now it adds the language that I had discussed. Yes. So, thank you.
Yes.
Second.
Well, we had a motion and a second, and Councilmember Wilsey, you're seconding the amended motion. Thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hands, and it passes unanimously. So then the next item on the agenda is the Visit Roswell MOU, and I think we probably covered a lot of the questions, so do we, yes, Councilmember Palermo.
Well, I was going to ask if I can make a motion based on the discussion we just had. But basically what I'd like to see, and hopefully it can be a quicker discussion, is we approve this with two updates. One is tying to the 2018 agreement, and number two is Councilmember Hall's language, and then we could hopefully just move forward.
Additional comments, questions from council? I haven't asked for a motion yet. Councilmember Tizer.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to do that is let's just conform the language between the two. No.
Councilmember
Okay.
Palermo.
I would support conforming the language from those two updates. So basically, because this is a different agreement, but just the exact language that Councilman Judy used for Councilmember Hall's language, and then the exact language he used for tying to the 2018 MOU. So I'd want to see this pass with just those two updates.
Thank you, Councilmember Palermo, for the clarification. Councilmember Zapata.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have a question for, I guess, Councilmember Palmer, who make the motion. Are you suggesting to remove point number 11 to match the previous approved MOU?
I'm very confused on what you're asking for. So now we put 11 in the Roswell Inc., but you want to remove it from
11.
Visit
No,
Roswell?
no.
Councilmember or Zapata.
Yes, thank you. No, because we didn't put a certified public accountant in there, so it's not apples to apples what we're talking about between the previous item approved and this item. The point number 11 here, provide the city of Roswell with an annual audit report prepared by a certified public accountant.
It's already a part of the draft MOU that is before you, so there's no reason to add it in a second time.
No, I'm saying, my question was, again, if Councilmember Palermo wants to remove and match the previous approved item.
Okay, Councilmember Palermo.
My suggestion is that there is no change to item number 11 in item number 6. I'm sorry, in agenda item number 6. My suggestion is that we have the MOU in item number 6 as written, with just two updates, being the Councilmember Hall language and being Councilman Judy's language for connecting us to 2018. Those would be, my recommendation is we only have those two updates. Everything else stays as written.
Thank you, Councilmember Palermo. Additional comments from council? Councilmember Palermo, since you've repeated this 3 times, I think that you might be the very person to make this motion.
So thank you, Mayor Henry. Motion to approve item number 6 for approval for the mayor to sign the MOU with Roswell Economic Development and Tourism, Inc. for the services of Visit Roswell, with 2 adjustments to the language within the agenda. One is Councilmember Hall's language regarding the quarterly financials, and number 2 is Councilman Judy's language regarding connecting this MOU to what was agreed upon in 2018.
We've got a motion by Councilmember Palermo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Wilsey. Councilmember Hall.
Councilmember Palermo, the quarterly reports are metrics and not financials.
Thank you for that. And again, as I mentioned, it would be
Councilmember Palermo, we're not going to have a debate up here. So you're saying that they have already been mentioned?
I just wanted clarification on the language of his motion.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Palermo.
And as I mentioned in my motion, it was based on Councilmember Hall's language, so yes.
Okay, Councilmember Hall, is that clarifying?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Oh, hold on. Councilmember Zapata, clarifying question.
Thank you. Are we gonna, for formality, call for public input? I guess we didn't do on the previous one.
No, I wasn't on this one. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Administration and Finance Department. Councilmember Wilsey.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Item number 7, COVID-19 Relief Assistance Program for Residents and Small Businesses update and approval of budget amendment BA 291617010062821 in the amount of $154,100. This item will be presented by Chris Ward, Special Events Manager.
Thank you. At the June 15th Admin Committee meeting, staff provided a list of community events for citizens and businesses to get back outside and come together. The COVID relief funds will allow these events to be no charge and also require no additional sponsorship dollars. The events will be located around the city of Roswell, and we have a list of potential events, their venues, locations, and estimated costs. Are there any questions?
Councilmember Palermo.
So as you know very well, I'm a big advocate for us having more events in Roswell as well as done safely and responsibly. And so I think this is a great agenda item and initiative.
Thank you, Councilmember Palermo. Additional comments from council? Is there anyone in the public that would like to come forward and speak? Do I have a motion?
Yes, motion to approve item number 7.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Wilsey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Tizer. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And it passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. The next item is Transportation Department. Councilmember Tizer.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 8, approval for the mayor and/or interim city administrator to sign an agreement with North Fulton Community Improvement District, NFCID, for the Old Ellis Extension Project.
Good evening. This item is for the agreement to partner on our Old Ellis Extension Project with the North Fulton Community Improvement District. The purpose of this agreement is to show the ability to fund the project and meet the required 20% match towards the grant. The city and the North Fulton CID are pursuing federal funding in the amount of $17.2 million. The required match for that is $4.3 million, of which the city is committing to fund that $4.3 million towards right-of-way acquisition. Of note, this project is also on our T-SPLOS project list on referendum in November.
Thank you, Mr. Del Russ. Does council have any questions? Is there anyone in the public that would like to come forward and speak? Seeing no one approach, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve item number 8.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Tizer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Judy. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And it passes unanimously. Next item is under the city attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a recommendation for closure to discuss personnel litigation and real estate.
Do we have a recommendation for closure?
Motion for closure.
Motion by Councilmember Tizer. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Palermo. All those in favor, please raise your hands. It passes unanimously, and we are adjourned.